Well, Broncos country, what's poppin', man? It's your boy Mark here with Marcky Sports. We got a fascinating update today that had just came out via Mile High Report on the DNVR podcast. Alex Singleton giving an update about his recovery from ACL surgery that he had in the offseason. We're going to talk about what that means in terms of one of the most fascinating positional rooms for the Denver Broncos, in my opinion, as we get into the offseason and obviously into training camp here in a few months. So, guys, if you love Denver sports, man, I'd love to have you guys as a subscriber. Join the community. Hit me up in the comments. I love to interact with you guys, and let's get this thing popping. So, as we know, last year, Alex Singleton had gotten injured and tore his ACL. He played through it. Like he played the rest of the game with his ACL torn in the win over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in week 3, the first win of the season. And since then, he's been straight rehabbing. And he's been one of those players that his roster status has certainly been in question, completely up in the air, given his contract situation, right? Given what he's going to be owed. Is it going to be better for the Broncos to move on from him? Really, the problem is that we never, aside from signing Dre Greenlaw, which was a home run signing, in my opinion, we don't really have many other players in that positional room to start opposite of Dre Greenlaw that we know too much about. And we're going to get into that entire positional group as it goes. But, what I would like to do first is get into his contract situation and talk a little bit about what exactly I mean by that. So he's in the final year of his deal, and his cap hit currently this year is $6.9 million. And if the Broncos were to want to move on from him, it shows here $6.9 million. If they're wanting to move on from him, they would only incur a $1.3 million dead cap hit. So they would save, roughly $5.5 million, give or take, simply by moving on from Alex Singleton. Obviously, they could look at reworking the deal as well, but that is something to note for him. So that's going to be a big part. Now, by all accounts, and what it seemed like he was talking about with the DNVR guys was that his recovery is going really well, and that we'll give you guys a little bit of quotes here, actually, to make it even spicier. He says there should be no worries about 49 playing this year. Now, he was really coy about giving too much details because there is a very strict Sean Payton rule where you don't talk a lot about your injuries, right? And I kind of get it. It's annoying for fans because we just want to have a little bit more information, but I can totally understand why that is the case. And the good news for him was that because it happened in week 3, it happened very early in the season. Typically, the timeline for a player to come back, he should be a full go, in my estimation, for camp. Now, how does he look is going to be an entirely different part of the equation, and that's what we're going to get into. So currently, right now, if we're assuming that Alex Singleton is going to be, healthy and he's going to be on this team, his contract situation, the team's comfortable rolling with that, then I think he's got to be the current favorite to be the starter opposite of Dre Greenlaw. There's a lot of mixed opinions about Alex Singleton overall, but he's one of the players that I've always really loved to watch. I love his energy. I love his motor's unbelievable. He just brings a lot of swagger to the defense. And we proved last year that we have even more of that now, but and I feel like he does lack a lot in coverage. There's no doubt about that. You'll see that as a trend on his PFF grades, but also just with your eyeballs. He's always been a linebacker that is pretty susceptible when it comes to, covering, whether it be, tight ends or running backs out of the backfield. That's kind of always been his thing. But what he does thrive and where he's very, very good is what he can do for us in the run game. And now this is why this is key. Prior to Dre Greenlaw's arrival, right? Prior to that, he was a player that didn't really need to, I guess he kind of had to be the playmaker, the do-it-all linebacker on the team. There was a lot on his shoulders. Not only was he the guy calling the defense, but there wasn't anybody else that could cover well either. So he was going to get the crack of doing that. And there wasn't anybody that was really that good at playing the run. So obviously they had to, find a way to mix him in on both. I think the addition of Dre Greenlaw is going to work to Alex Singleton's benefit massively in a lot of different ways, because now he can have a little bit less responsibilities and he can focus on very specific things rather than trying to do everything. And if you're asking me, Alex Singleton is somebody that should primarily be used in the box all the time, and covering as little as possible. Like I said, he's not terrible at it, but he's definitely not very good either. But what he is very good at is thriving in the run. And as you can see, you'll see a trend in the PFF grades overall. We could dive a little bit deeper into this if you need to. Obviously, this is for last year, and so it's very abbreviated, right? It was in 190 total snaps that he played. He plays a lot of snaps, man. Even that's in 3 games. 190 snaps. Run defense grade, very, very good. You take it back to 2023 when he played a full season, over 1,000 snaps. Same thing. Very good in run defense. Good pass rusher. You can come in on the blitz and cause some havoc there. But I mean, 21st among all linebackers that are qualified for this is pretty damn good, considering there's 2, maybe 3 linebackers. And if they're, if you got some edge guys counting as linebackers, it's going to be even more. That's a really, really high rating. But again, one of the lowest against coverage grades. And another thing that really stood out to me is of the 1,089 snaps, more than half of them were actually coverage snap grades. So he was being asked to cover more often than he was asked to be playing the run. And it's not even in 2023. It ain't like we had a really bad defense. Our defense actually kept us in the game a lot. I mean, we started off the season really, really poorly, if I recall. Or no, that was 22. So we had a pretty solid defense. It wasn't nearly as good as it was last year, but it wasn't like we were so behind in games all the time where we were playing, the pass very often. But the fact that he was asked to do that a little bit more was definitely something that did not bode very well for the team. Going back to 2022, same thing, 771 snaps, over half of them were in coverage. And as you'll be able to see here, he actually graded out a lot better in 2022, which is surprising. So I didn't know he graded out that good, but still very elite when it comes to his run defense grade and what he can do in terms of stopping the run. And this is a little bit more limited action. I think he got injured and missed a few games, but nothing crazy with him. But that all being said, the good news, the really, really good news for Broncos country is that we signed Dre Greenlaw. Dre Greenlaw was my prized free agent possession, the guy that I was talking about that we really wanted. He obviously fills a massive need, and I think he's a all pro caliber type of player, given he can stay healthy. I think we got him at a really good time because he's still pretty young, but he's now a couple of years removed from tearing his Achilles in the Super Bowl just a couple of years ago. And so, that time's going to be helpful. And we were obviously really lucky that we avoided a serious injury. Bad reports came out before about, it was a serious quad injury and his season's in jeopardy. It's not the case. It's been debunked. It was just a quad strain, and he's expected to be a full go and ready for camp. So that's obviously good. But another thing that Dre Greenlaw brings is he thrives as a coverage linebacker. That is what he does. Even him being a little bit undersized, right? He's a little shorter. He's like 5'11", 230, 235 pounds. He thrives in the pass game in terms of covering tight ends, covering running backs out of the backfield, really moving sideline to sideline. That's what he does. Obviously, he's very good in the run game as well, but he can take on a lot more of those responsibilities in the pass game that Alex Singleton was taking on prior. And I think that bodes really, really well for the defense as a whole, big time, because you're going to get a linebacker that is significantly better playing those coverage snaps. And Alex Singleton can just be his self of, going out there and playing the run really well and all that kind of stuff. Another concern with Alex Singleton is he does miss quite a few tackles. Go back to I won't necessarily share it because it's not that big of a deal, but like, for example, of course, this thing now doesn't want to load. So sorry. Thanks for bearing with me, y'all. He missed 29 tackles in 2023, his most recent healthy season. And that's 179th in the NFL. That's not very good. 29 tackles. Even though he played, over 1,000 snaps, right? So you got a big share. That's still a pretty damn high percentage, if you ask me. Way too high, to be missing. So that's always been a little bit of an issue with him as well. Even taking it back to last season, he had 7 missed tackles in 3 games and 190 snaps. So he does miss quite a bit of tackles. A lot of the times it is in coverage. But I think the limitations that he has are going to certainly be able to be covered up by Dre Greenlaw. I'm super excited about this camp battle, man, for the second linebacker position. I think it's going to be fascinating. I think there's going to be a lot of really good camp storylines, which we'll certainly make a dedicated video to later on. But this is going to be the one I'm really going to keep my eye on, because Drew Sanders might become this crazy X factor that not a lot of people in Broncos country are talking about, because he is going to get a legitimate chance of finally playing a very specific role, right? He's had kind of a positional identity crisis is what I call it in the NFL. He played, some edge in college. He played off-ball linebacker in college. They drafted him. They said he was going to play edge. He got hurt. Then they said he was going to play inside linebacker. Then he got hurt again. And then he, played a few snaps last year when he was coming back. But injuries have derailed his career. Not really having a specified role has also, delayed his career and really affected him in a lot of ways. But by all accounts, he's looking healthy. He's almost exactly a year removed, a full calendar year removed from the torn Achilles that he had in like mini camp last year. And he's going to be an interesting prospect, man, because where he differs from Alex Singleton is that he's a physical freak. Like athletically, he's a lot more superior to what Alex Singleton is. Alex Singleton, I think, is a successful player because he's very smart and he's got a crazy motor. But Drew Sanders he's got the length, he's got the height, the speed, and it's going to be really fascinating to see how does he play. And the unfortunate thing for Alex Singleton here is, let's say Alex Singleton outperforms Drew Sanders, but Drew Sanders is still pretty solid, and you expect that there's going to be, a ceiling and a lot more room for growth. That could probably lead to Alex Singleton's demise, whether it be via trade or ultimately, getting cut and saving $5.5 million for the Broncos. There's also, always the opportunities, or always the chance that there could be a coveted player that becomes available for a multitude of reasons. That happens every single year where there's several. And if we wanted to take that money and allocate it elsewhere, we could do it also. There is Lavelle Bailey, who's going to be in the room. He's going to compete. I think he's somebody that's going to really, make some noise depending on how he develops. But it's going to be a fascinating room, man. I think right now Alex Singleton is probably the favorite, but if it was my guess and I had to make a prediction, I'm pretty confident that Drew Sanders is going to be the starting outside linebacker opposite of Dre Greenlaw. And unfortunately, we'll probably move on from Alex Singleton. But if we kept him and he played a lot, or he was a backup, or some sort of a role player, I'd be all for it, because I like the dude. I love how he carries himself, how he represents the Broncos. And I feel like we all should. But I'm curious to know, guys, what do y'all think in the comments below? Do you think Alex Singleton is going to be the starter opposite of, or I guess not really opposite, but right next to Dre Greenlaw? Or do you think it's going to be Drew Sanders or somebody else? Let me know in the comments below and let me know why. But until the next video, y'all be sure, man, take care of yourselves, and peace out.